Hello, dear viewers. It's time for another Death Battle reaction. This one's Zatanna versus Scarlet Witch. Two lovely ladies who have a knack for the mystical arts. Of course, always check out the original content before you ever check out any of my work, or before you check out my reaction. It's only fair to Screw Attack and Rooster Teeth and Death Battle, who are the makers of this series. But having said that, who do I think will win going into this? I want Zatanna to win. Do I think she's going to win? I don't know. I'm going to see what the the analysis is, and I think I'm just going to I'm just going to play it. Okay. No idea what I was going to do, but do something. Get on with it.
This episode is sponsored by The Northman and BetterHelp.
Ooh, double dosing of ads. And again, once more, it's a Marvel vs. DC fight.
Marvel's Crimson Queen.
And at one point, these two actually did combine to make the White Witch.
There are those who wield the mystic arts like gods to reshape creation to their whims. And there are those who just like to put on a hell of a show. Either way, don't mess with them if you know what's good for you. He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
Personally, I like
Zatanna more. It's our job to
analyze
their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle.
It almost looked like Zatanna was knocked back or something, so maybe Scarlet Witch is the instigator in this fight.
Is in fact more delicate than we might dare to wonder. Imagine every single iota.
And no, I have not seen the WandaVision
all
series.
within the grasp of a single mortal woman to control at her whim. Imagine the danger we're all in.
I do remember X-Men Evolution.
We don't have to, because her name is Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
As a kid, she and her brother Pietro were poor Romani, who were lucky enough to be turned into super-powered freaks by the High Evolutionary. Unable to control her
I did see the prelude to this, so I know a few things about going into this. And I know a few things about the
who would show up
Maximoff
the mutant
twins
master of magnetism
and
himself, Magneto.
Quicksilver has already been in Death Battle, and he did not fare well against Flash.
She and Pietro joined his Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Great name there, Magneto. Solid branding. And it wasn't long before she traded her supervillain creds for a membership with the Avengers, which might have been a bit too much for poor Wanda because she definitely drew the superpower short stick. By waving her hands, Wanda could create small random events known as hexes, subtly altering the probability of any
That's the
happening.
Avengers
That's
series
a cool way of
back in
saying she
the
could do
2000s.
like one magic-y thing per fight and then be totally useless. An energy
Yeah,
blast
that was
here,
just a
some
toy
telekinesis there,
Astro.
a force field if she's feeling frisky. Not exactly the same oomph as, say, the God of Thunder or the Jolly Green Worldbreaker. But something strange was happening. Over time, her hexes increased in breadth and power, as if there was more to Wanda's powers than met the eye. She learned to slow and stop time, drain and absorb energy, duplicate herself and others, teleport to different dimensions, and even strip others of their powers entirely. It was almost as if there was more to Wanda than just being some random science experiment.
Strip people of their powers, make
resident
good.
expert on the deepest trenches of character history. Jocelyn, if you will.
In reality, Wanda's powers weren't entirely the result of the High Evolutionary, nor was she the mutant daughter of Magneto, as he's claimed. Her powers weren't just some simple hexes. She might as well have been a god. Until now, she had merely been dipping her toes into the vast ocean known as chaos magic. Though her powers may have seemed to be the byproduct of science, they were in reality the gift of the Lovecraftian elder god Cthon, who attempted to turn Wanda into his future vessel.
Reminds me of my summers by the sea with old Uncle Yogg-Sothoth.
In time,
Nice to
Wanda
see
discovered she could
Jocelyn.
alter the probability of anything she could think of, turning a mathematical impossibility into an absolute certainty, and vice versa. Wanda's powers kept growing and growing, turning her into a being strong enough to rival even the mightiest of gods. Like, literally, Wanda's chaos magic is counterpart to the Phoenix Force, the embodiment of cosmic order. You know, that fiery space chicken that can destroy the universe? Wanda fought it, and even briefly erased it from existence.
At her height, the Scarlet Witch achieved total control over energy, the weather, the elements, your mind, your body, your soul, all of time, all of matter, and all of reality. She can wipe you from existence with a thought and rend the very fabric of the universe as though it were tissue paper.
She isn't even limited to chaos magic either. They might not have been what made her a god, but the High Evolutionary's experiments did make her more receptive to channeling magical energy. Oh, maybe that's why Mama Boomstick always warned me about redheads.
She's so receptive, in fact, that Wanda is the lone nexus being of the 616 reality, a focal point for the universe's magical energies, and one that belongs equally to all other timelines.
It's no wonder she was considered a candidate for Sorcerer Supreme. I mean, shit, why wasn't she? She might as well be a walking, talking Infinity Gauntlet.
Well, she may have the power of a god, but she's still stuck with a human's body that can be overpowered by physically stronger foes. Though, she also survived being shot with a black matter bullet capable of, and I quote, world-shattering energy. So there's that.
She does technically need to be able to think of a spell in order to get it to happen, so she could theoretically be blitzed. But she's also blocked Thor's galaxy-crossing hammer, kept up with dudes like X-Man who can fight within plank time, and even amp her own speed beyond the concept of speed herself.
Despite being far and away the mightiest among Earth's mightiest heroes, Wanda resented the pressure of her incredible power. She actually wanted a quiet life as a wife and a mother.
But because no one in comics is allowed to have a happily ever after, that life was taken from her by literal Satan. Not the last time he'd do this, too. Wanda snapped, and she took the multiverse with her.
By tapping into an inconceivable and unknowable pool of energy known as the Life Force, Wanda rewrote all of reality, creating a new universe where life was just how she wanted it.
No matter whose lives she had to change, in this House of M, she had her family back, but at the cost of her sanity.
And it wasn't long before it all came crashing down around her. Once her family and friends discovered the lie of their new lives and turned against her, she uttered 3 fateful words and erased nearly all of mutant kind. No more mutants.
Wanda weaved her magic throughout all of existence, created cracks across reality which spread throughout the Omniverse, and threatened to annihilate all of creation, the entirety of Marvel's infinite cosmology. Everything that ever was.
Shit got dark, and while Wanda has worked to keep her powers in check since then, that threat is always there. But honestly, that sounds more like a problem for anyone who's stupid enough to get in her way.
Both a blessing and a curse, a help and a hex. Such is the true power of the Scarlet Witch.
This episode of Death Battle is sponsored by the Northmen.
Remind me why you need to be holding a god-slaying axe to watch a movie trailer.
Weapons of cosmic destruction center me, Wiz. And this
okay, we know that they said that she's able to take away powers and she can fracture reality. Basically, what Zatanna needs to have going for her is an ability for her power to, one, not be taken away from her, and to be able to survive. So basically, she needs to have a better endurance than Scarlet Witch has offense. I think Zatanna, from my understanding, she does have more experience, or better, at least better training. Scarlet Witch seems to just be the person that figured it out on her own because there was really no one there to teach her. Give him a hand, people. Alright, let's see Zatanna. One of the best DC bombshells.
Never was there a greater professor of prestidigital performance.
AKA
I love
magic.
alliteration.
Except Zatanna's spells aren't just smoke and mirrors. They're the real deal.
She's
So you're really
smoking
getting
hot.
your money's worth.
She learned everything she knew from her father, Giovanni Zatanna, who put his powers to good use as one of DC's very first superheroes.
No joke. He's the guy who taught Batman everything he knows about escape artistry. He debuted the same issue as Superman, and the young Zatanna was more than happy to serve as his assistant, learning everything he knew about the cutthroat world of entertainment. Oh, and Game Suit too, but the former is way worse.
She inherited her father's incredible mystical abilities as well. Essentially,
I wish we can get a Zatanna Lego figure.
Real, and she focuses this absurdly powerful ability by speaking her desired effect backwards. Her father based this technique on the diaries of Leonardo da Vinci, who some theorize wrote backwards in order to hide his ideas from the repressive medieval Catholic Church.
Or because he was left-handed.
That's another theory, if you hate fun.
And Zatanna's apparently big-brained enough that she has no problem speaking backwards at the drop of a hat. Like when this one dude kept reversing time in the middle of her sentences, she started speaking in palindromes so that she'd still be speaking backwards no matter what. I mean, you know what they say with, go hang a salami, I'm a lasagna hog.
With
That's
her magic, Zatanna has
Robot
brought
Chicken
the laws of
palindrome.
reality to her whims. She's transmuted matter on an atomic level, teleported across dimensions, commanded the elements, turned invisible, removed powers, cast illusions, read and controlled minds, traveled through and stopped time, and can even wipe people from existence with a single word.
It might not seem obvious from that hokey magic castle getup, but Zatanna is one of the most powerful sorcerers in DC. Like the time she battled the Time Tailor Zor, an old enemy of the Spectre. You know, the angel of God's divine wrath.
In order to defeat an opponent of such unimaginable power, Zatanna focused her magical might into shattering the boundaries of reality. She reached out beyond the very comic panels themselves and pulled Zor's entire magical universe down around him. She literally handled all of reality like it was a sheet of paper and crumpled it in her hands.
That might seem completely incomprehensibly impossible to us, but it's all a matter of belief. Literally. As long as Zatanna believes she can do something with her magic, she'll do it.
As she puts it, her magic is essentially asserting one reality, then replacing it with another. This is similar to other magical characters like Dr. Fate and Green Lantern, whose powers have been stated to work the exact same way.
But it's not like any rando can do magic by wishing on a star. Zatanna is genetically predisposed to this kind of magical reality warping. Her mom was in actuality a Homo Magi, a subrace of humans that are naturally adept at magic.
So it's no wonder
It's nice that we're getting
Zatanna
more
became
Jocelyn.
an invaluable member of both the Justice League of America and Justice League Dark. The Shadow the Hedgehog version, basically.
Zatanna harnessed an entire year's worth of sunlight
But
into a
isn't
single
that
energy
shit?
blast, created ruptures
Pardon my
across all
language.
of space and time throughout the DC multiverse, and has even claimed she's as powerful as Superman himself. Pre-Crisis Superman, in case you were wondering. Her only limit is her imagination and will. In fact, her backward speaking is mostly a stagecraft tradition meant to boost her concentration.
In a pinch, she can cast a spell with a single thought, and I doubt anyone's winning a quick draw with her. She's matched superheroes like Martian Manhunter, who scanned every mind on Earth in a Planck instant. Or how about Dr. Fate, whose magic traveled across the universe at the completely immeasurable velocity of God.
Zatanna has fended off countless reality-shattering threats like the Eldritch Upside-Down Man, Primordial Darkness, that is evil incarnate, and the Void Beyond Creation, Prolaya.
This shadow goop lady ate all of DC Comics, all of creation, everything. Gods, demons, rabbits, and spandex, everything. And Zatanna's magic was strong enough to hold her back.
And then, after secretly implanting Swamp Thing inside Prolaya, she weaved a spell within him to literally regrow all of reality back in seconds.
Wow.
Zatanna tricked a being older than God and then blew her ass up from the inside with a whole new omniverse. Abracadabracadabra.
Such is the almighty power of Zatanna's will. Should it falter, though, or should her focus be disrupted, it could all come crashing down like a house of cards. Belief is a fragile thing, after all,
Yep.
and her powers were weakened for a time after she lost belief in herself.
And she's definitely got one big weak point. She's a huge daddy's girl.
Despite her amazing career, she has struggled within herself to live up to her father's legacy, especially after his heroic death.
And this MFer has died a lot of times. So Z's therapy can't be cheap, especially after dating John Constantine. Oh, I can just smell the lager and self-loathing from here. No, wait, that's me.
Questionable romance aside, Zatanna is a consummate professional raised on one singular principle. The show must go on. And she'll always finish strong with a standing ovation. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy.
Relationships
So,
are hard and confusing. A lot of
I
us
think
grow
her
up
being
thinking
able to
someone
tap
helps
almost
someone care about.
outside of
Go out of our way to treat people well,
the
but
multiverse
don't.
itself and like influence
This
the
month, BetterHelp
writers
Online Therapy
might have a huge play in this. Might. I'd like to see Zatanna win. I really do. Do I think she will win? It will be one hell of a fight for her. I think that it might be a very close battle, where even the slightest distraction, the smallest of advantages could make a huge impact, or I might be completely wrong, but that's what I'm thinking. That I think Zatanna might have this. Might.
Alright, the combatants are set. We've run the data through all possibilities.
I won't be surprised if Scarlet Witch wins, but I'm rooting for Zatanna.
Magic!
Magic.
Oh, thank you. And for my first trick, ta-da! You, what sort of two-bit sorceress do you think you are? Two-bit? Perhaps, Miss
Fight!
Perhaps I was being generous.
She's been trained by a great escape artist.
All part of the show, folks. I'd say this calls for an adventure. Do you know the difference between you and I?
You can touch a board and I
Well,
can break
I
it in
think
half.
the difference is
I can touch a board and wipe out its entire race.
presentation. And I know a trick when I see one.
Yep.
Universes. You can't run forever. Now make like a magician and disappear.
Yeah, Scarlet Witch is a bit of an emotional wreck.
Oh, snip, just help me. No more, no. The disappearing act was the first thing Dad ever taught me. And for my final trick, smushy rolls. No more witches. And that's our show, ladies and germs.
Wow. Bravo.
That's a magic trick that's to die for.
Analyzing this matchup was like walking on a tightrope. It could fall either way at any point.
Because at the end of the day, both these ladies could do basically anything with their magic. All they
Much
had
like
to do
Dr.
was
Fate
think
versus
and
Dr.
shit would
Strange.
happen. They were totally even. At her peak, Wanda was able to threaten the stability of all creation.
And at Zatanna's best, she was able to hold back Pralaya, who could do the exact same thing. And despite some differences, the omniversal cosmologies of Marvel and DC Comics are roughly equivalent in size and scope. All that was left for us to look at was their weaknesses.
While both were as powerful as one another, Wanda needed to tap into the life force to reach that pinnacle, and doing so threatened her sanity.
Let's take a closer look at the events surrounding House of M, where Wanda's powers were at their maximum.
Despite admitting that she was way stronger, Doctor Strange managed to get the best of Wanda with a cool head and a spell that briefly knocked her out cold.
His wits against her mental instability were enough to turn the tide.
To be clear, this instability definitely wouldn't affect her power. She was still strong enough to create a completely new alternate reality and then erase it just as easily. What it would do is leave her open.
Also, take her No More Mutant spell. As insanely powerful as it was to affect the whole of Marvel's creation, it wasn't entirely successful. There was still a tiny portion of Earth's mutant population left unaffected, likely due to interference from Strange and Emma Frost.
Against Zatanna, who was just as strong and not losing her mind, she wouldn't be able to afford that kind of lapse, even for an instant.
On the other hand, Zatanna has managed to maintain her willpower fighting foes just as strong as the Scarlet Witch, so she didn't have the same kind of exploitable weakness.
And remember, she doesn't actually need to say her spells backwards.
It helps with her concentration, but all her spells come from her mental impulses, just like Wanda. She's consistently pulled off non-verbal spells in the past, even against beings as strong as Pralaya.
In the end, Z definitely had enough experience fighting smart and keeping on her toes to hang with Wanda long enough to get in a finishing blow.
While there were definitely versions of this battle that could have ended with Wanda victorious, Zatanna's cooler head and effortless magic allowed her to prevail.
I guess you could say Wanda never saw it coming, and Zatanna maxim offed her.
The winner is Zatanna. Death Battle is
I'm glad that
Zatanna
Zatanna won.
Membership program for our YouTube channel. By directly supporting our
better
team,
luck next
you'll
time.
get unique emotes, badges, and additional
Scarlet
content,
Witch,
and a bunch more. Click that join button to see more info, and thanks so much for watching.
Okay, let's see what happens next time. Strider Healer. Oh no. I thought it was Strider Hero. I don't know either of these two. Viewers, you'll have to tell me a bit about these characters because I don't know anything about them. But what did y'all think? Usually I'm not a big fan of the 2D animation stuff, but this one was really knocked it out of the park. There was a lot of fun to be had with it, and it was very well done. And again, what do you guys think? Do you think they got it right? Do you think they got it wrong? Did they miss a few things? I mean, to my knowledge, I think they covered enough. Of course, I'm not the foremost expert on these things, but what did you guys think? Always let me know, and stay tuned for more content like this in the future. Anyway, have a great day, and you take care.